forget the mayor because you don't have anybody, members.
Well, there's two here.
Well, Rochelle's here.
Oh,
It's Rochelle and Josh.
Yeah, we're good.
oh, just be so smart.
Oh,
sorry.
I'm not
Really, I'm honest, agreed, and terrible.
So are we good?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right. So I'd like to call to order the, what is today? The April 5th meeting of the Governance Strategy and City Operations Committee of the City of Plattsburgh. And I guess we'll start with the roll call. Roll call.
Counselor Kretzer?
Here.
Counselor Armstrong?
Here.
Perfect. We always start off these meetings with public comment. So does anyone have any comments from the public? Seeing none, we will move along. Let's see, reports from department representatives and discussions with counselors. Are there any reports from any of the departments?
I don't really have a report, I just have a few things. That, the auditorium is going to be used every weekend in April, so that's good.
This dance or?
Special Olympics dance, sophomore hop, Plattsburgh High School, Plattsburgh Jazz.
So all different things.
Yep, and St. Catholic Junior Prom.
Hey, Dad.
All my street drive dates are taken.
Perfect.
So that's good. And we actually have come into the modern world, we're now accepting credit cards.
Now accepting credit cards at the city clerk's office.
Only when you come to our office.
Only
Not
for the
in
office.
mobile phone yet, because we need verification. That's
Okay.
a lot of things. So, but, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
We're moving forward. Thanks for doing that. People will be grateful.
What about over at MLD? Is it citywide or just at the clerk's office?
The clerk's.
MLD is always, I believe they've always done it. We just haven't.
What?
I believe they have.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
They're their own entity, though, pretty much.
Yeah.
Gonna
I've
say
been paying credit card this whole time.
You don't want to pay the fee.
No.
Oh, that's why I must
We'll
not.
go through your bank.
Yeah, you do the electronic debit.
Right.
50 cents.
Let's see what else. Brian, do you have any?
Nothing with respect to the website.
Nothing for website, okay. So I guess that's,
Meeting with a representative from
from what?
OpenGov next Tuesday.
Yes, awesome. Perfect. Okay, cool, so we'll go on to agenda items brought forward from the departments. We've got a request from Sandra Geddes to advertise for a bid for a DRI project, marketing, branding, and signage. Is there anything we should know, or?
Well, this was started a while ago. I have a project advisory committee consisting of several people from throughout the community, professional organizations, CCC. City of Plattsburgh was represented. We had a business owner, Matt Spiegel, on the committee, and we all reviewed the RFP and made tweaks to it to fit our needs. And everybody reviewed it again, and we got final edits, and Dean approved it, and so it's ready to go.
So you're confident, and we have recommendation from your committee to move forward?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much. Anybody have any questions for Sandra?
That's,
Go ahead.
that's different than like parking signs and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, this is like really kind of showcasing our community. You know, the Adirondack Coast banners that you see out there now, we just want to incorporate more color and also highlight the different districts. So the waterfront area, the dockside streets, and like the Saranac River Trail. We want to highlight the various features and also the businesses in the downtown area that we want to bring our visitors to.
And all of these things, if I'm not mistaken, were recommendations from consultants that we've used to say this is
We're
what.
not going to do it here.
Yeah, this is what you need to do to kind of bring visibility and connectivity to the community.
Okay, perfect, yeah.
But all of this signage really only pertains to features around the downtown, not outside of the DRI boundary.
Right.
Absolutely. Just kind of connectivity downtown.
Can I ask a question? I heard Rochelle make reference, there's a meeting next week with open government representatives?
The OpenGov, is that for the strategic planning software, Rochelle?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any movement on the ethics committee? That was going to the governance committee?
Ethics committee going to the, you mean forming our own ethics committee?
Right. Because it was reference, I was told it was going to the governance committee.
Yes. We, it hasn't been formed yet, and we're looking for kind of feeling out, who wouldn't serve on it, what kind of different community stakeholders, do we have some people from the university, from...
Because it would only require 3 individuals.
I guess that's like the minimum requirement, isn't it?
Right, but that's usually the recommended, right? Okay.
Well, we should probably set a goal, Dr. Shafat, because, it's something we have been talking about for some time. Maybe we could come up with a finite date where we're going to have this accomplished.
Okay, so you and I can set that, and then we'll let everybody know.
And we'll be sure we you in the email loop about the deal.
Okay, thank you.
Wonderful. So there's a request for the Take Back the Night event to happen again this year. I think this is an event, I'm not sure how many years, but I feel like it's been nearly every year for the past...
Josh, Megan is supposed to be here. Is Megan here?
Oh.
I actually have papers if anyone.
Yeah, sure, I'd love to. Thank you so much for being here.
Different talking points.
We have
Sure.
had it in prior years, but I think they're wanting to stay on the streets and close streets.
Oh, okay.
Lieutenant Huard has given me the amount.
Thank you very much.
And on the back is the route.
That's wonderful.
Cool.
Would you, and it's Megan, you said?
Yeah, definitely.
Just some of them aren't here right now.
Yeah.
Megan, do you mind just stepping up to the microphone and just talking a little bit about the event, how the
Yes.
event will differ this year from previous years, and just, I guess, the request?
Okay. So Take Back the Night has existed all over the world for 42 years now. It takes place in over 30 countries in the world. And we have marched in the streets in the past. I know the past 2 years we haven't, but my freshman year till my freshman year and my sophomore year, we marched in the streets. And marching in the streets represents us taking our right to feel safe in the night. And I just want to go over the route a little bit. So we go down Brinkerhoff because it's the least lit.
Do you mind if I just 1 second? We've had requests, in the past year, and actually even in the past 2 years for similar type events where there would be street closures. Every time there's a street closure, there's incurs cost for the city to pay the police department and everyone to be there to make sure that safety is of the utmost concern. And we've had to deny requests for groups in the past year for similar reasons, just because the city doesn't have it in its budget at the moment to be able to afford to pay those overtime fees. I can almost guarantee that would be the consensus of the council. I can't speak for everyone, but from my experience, that's what I think. Would it be acceptable for you, as much as you'd like to do it in the streets, and as much as I think we would all like to see it in the streets if budget wasn't an issue, are you comfortable using the sidewalk route that you've used in the past?
We are comfortable using the sidewalk, but the only problem is, there are a few problems with using the sidewalk, is we're more likely to be physically harassed when we use the sidewalks, because there will be drunk people that come through, and we've had instances in the past where people have been grabbed, people have been followed, people have been...
And that's a concern. That's a big concern.
And another concern is that the sidewalks aren't wide enough for differently abled people, so there are people who are excluded from the march because they're not able to march with us
I
because
understand.
there's no room for them.
So does this group have any departmental support from SUNY Plattsburgh?
Yes, we do. We have the Gender and Women's Studies Department on our side.
Is there any way that they would be able to come up with the $1,331.64 to be able to offset the cost of the overtime?
I don't think so. I can look into it. The only problem is I've spoken with them about overcosts and overtime costs, and I know the department chair of Gender and Women's Studies is frustrated with that because University Police is also asking us for overtime costs, which we've never paid for in the past. And
that's using the sidewalks or the streets? Oh, wow.
When we've used the streets, I was in the executive board when I was a sophomore, and I know we marched in the streets then, and we didn't pay for any closures then.
So, I completely respect what this represents. It's really important for people to be aware that they need to be, tolerant, open-minded, make sure that, everyone is safe. And the goal of the organization is very noble. It's just in the current economic climate, we won't be able to pay the police officers to close the streets.
Just a note, the University Police may have able to cover the services before in the past without incurring any overtime costs. But I think soon Plattsburgh budgetary concerns, and really, unfortunately, that becomes a driver of policy. So, you know, as much as we want to be supportive and protect you, there is a price to pay, and we have to think of the taxpayers who, you know, ultimately bear the brunt of the costs.
Right. And I wish that it wasn't so close. I wish there was a little more time maybe for some fundraising or for something to happen. But
I mean, we do have a fundraiser that's going on the 17th.
Right. It's just, you know, we can't pay any of this overtime cost. So we definitely want the event to happen.
Oh, definitely.
And it's happened in the past, you know, under not necessarily the most ideal situations, but it may have to survive another year.
Right. There may be the possibility that you can increase your tennis courts. You know, sometimes there are people who wear the orange vests, and you know, they could be an increased presence in March as well, just to make sure that you feel secure. I know the issue about differently abled people. That is a problem, but maybe with a little extra help and support in your ranks, they'll be able to travel comfortably.
So then I can, you know, obviously it's on, I believe it's on the agenda for tonight. So I can amend it to reflect the old route and use of the sidewalks. And then if I do that, I have a feeling it'll pass.
I wanted to stay for marching on the streets.
Okay, because I can more or less guarantee then that you won't be given permission.
I think I wanted to accurately reflect what the council is saying then, that we're not marching on the streets. I wanted to accurately reflect that you are denying us to march on the streets.
Because we don't have the money to pay the overtime as much as we want you to be able to march in the streets.
How long has it been going on in Plattsburgh? I say it's been going on for 42 years, starting in Belgium, but in Plattsburgh?
I can't even find a record of how long it's been going on in Plattsburgh, but I know that our organization has existed as a club on SUNY Plattsburgh's campus since 1995, and before that it was its own center. So definitely since 1995, so 23 years now.
And I'm sorry.
How many people participated?
In the march?
Yes.
Well over 30, 40, depending. It's dwindled a little bit in the past 2 years, but we get that, and that's just marching. I know we have 20 peacekeepers at least every year.
That's great, and it grows. There are more people every year. Hey Beth, I have a question, just kind of procedurally. How late, let's see, so the 21st, do we have a council meeting before the date? I think we do, don't we?
Yeah, we have the 12th and the 9th.
So,
12th and 19th.
you know, if you choose to have us, and honestly, if you choose to have it remain, and then more likely than not, evidently not pass, I would appeal to you to try to use any means necessary through social media, through the web, in doing maybe some quick guerrilla grassroots fundraising. Because, can anyone answer if we can offset these costs? Is that something that, I feel like I should know this, but
I don't know.
Can we?
We're not able to accept donations. I don't know if it's considered like a paid service that an organization can pay for.
Well, can you accept donations? Or no, wait, but Sandra, were you gonna, did you?
I was saying, like, if we could be invoiced, or we could invoice them.
Invoice them?
Yeah.
So we could invoice them for the overtime services? So I guess that would be my appeal, would be try through every network you possibly can. And I know it's maybe only a week. Do we have two meetings before the 21st?
12th and the 19th.
So we have 2 meetings before the 21st. So that would give 2 weeks for you to potentially do some fundraising, even if it's getting $2 or $1 from everyone on campus. You guys could do this. We want it to happen. We want you to be able to have what you you want to have, because we see the value in it. I see the value in it. But I almost would suggest that we table the discussion and that we give you the time to potentially raise the funds so that we could do it, and then we'd be able to pass it. It could work. Chief, would if it was that meeting right prior to this date, would you have enough time to put people in place to do what you need to do with that short notice?
2 days prior? I think so. I mean, it would be tough, but it would be that way.
Okay.
I mean, I have some further information. Megan and I have spoken.
Okay.
I suggested the recruitment of volunteers to help offset the number of officers needed. I've whittled this down. There are 14 intersections on your current proposed route. They need to be manned by either a police officer or volunteers. Many of them, really need to be staffed by police officers just because of how busy they are. I have 6 officers on overtime, and actually 2 from the shift, which I didn't even include in the total. And given the route and the time of day and things that we've spoken about on the phone meeting, I don't think that I can boil it down any further as far as coverage goes, simply because I have, the way this is going, this is a well-oiled machine. I have people moving from this point to this point to catch up with the route, just to try to keep the costs as low as we possibly can. But my suggestion, if you want to hear it, is that we try to recruit people to act as volunteers.
Would the peacekeepers help?
Well, the peacekeepers have their job. Similar to what we do with the 4th of July parade and the holiday parade. We have volunteers who are dressed with traffic vests, and they can stand at the less traveled intersections. Maybe the ones that are on River Street. It's free to help busier places. And I think that, along with the ability for you to raise funds to help offset the cost, it's going to go a long way.
Chief, if they do go on just sidewalks, they still need police, though, to cover intersections, right?
Yeah, we typically do that. We will assign people from the shift, that way there are no overtime costs incurred, to accompany them throughout the route. And usually, because of the time of year, it's warm enough, we have our bicycle patrols that are in that area anyway. And earlier in the evening, we're able to do that.
So then I guess, I hope that you can see that all of the departments involved want this to happen. So would you be comfortable if we tabled this for this week and potentially even, or this week and then maybe next week, depending on funding, and then you guys could be given the opportunity to see if you can come up with the money that you would need?
I just don't see us coming up with the money in that time frame. I don't think it would be possible.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we're giving you every possible opportunity to have what it is that you want, given the fact that we can't physically burden the expense. So you want me to leave it on?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for the information. Thank you guys for all you do. So now let's see, 3 through 8 are all requests by restaurateurs to have their parking spaces that they're requesting for outdoor dining this year. Are there any questions about that? Just kind of standard fare from all years past.
And these all seem to be the same as they've had in past years.
Correct. Yep, so far. And I think this isn't the max number of spots. There's still a few left.
No, this really falls under Joe.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure that it's almost the max. I think we only did hear from 1 or 2 people, but we have to add them up.
okay.
Joe,
Want to vote on it as a group?
Yeah.
The maximum number fluctuates a little bit, but somewhere around 50.
Yes.
I don't think this is the maximum.
Okay, so then we may receive some additional requests, but this is what we have so far. Does anyone have any questions?
Number 5, the request from the North Country Food Co-op. They're asking for outdoor dining. I think last year it was a bit different than dining, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, they had tables, they had benches, tables, chairs, and people would grab their food inside and then come out and eat.
But they also, I think, proposed to have food service actually sell out there, because there was concerns that nobody ever used it, the spot. Maybe there was an occasional, maybe 1 or 2 bands that some of the upstairs people, the tenants, found rather intrusive. So the thought was it wasn't used. So
I
didn't know
used
if
it
there's-
probably a dozen times.
Really?
That's just me. I would go in, I'd grab a salad, I'd come out, eat, and then I'd head out.
Okay.
Last year, all of the food opportunities been developed to the degree that they are now.
You broke up a little bit, Rochelle. Could you say that one more time?
Okay.
Thanks for getting more opportunities.
I'm wondering if their marketing and production of, potable food was as developed last year as it is this year.
I think you're right. I think that the salad bar is new this year. I think there's a few things that could, I guess, increase the use.
Okay. Because it was empty a lot of times. There were no
Yeah.
table and chairs there either, so, all right. All right. Hopefully it gets used if this goes. Mhm.
Is a fee charged for, like, do they have to rent the parking spots? Or?
There is a fee associated.
I gave you the guidelines in your packet, and it tells you all about that.
It's a flat fee and then a prorated.
Gives you the fee per parking space and the rules.
Anybody else have any questions about the permits for outdoor dining? If you have anything, we'll talk about it after. So number 9 is a request from the local chapter of the Professional Disc Golf Association, and they looks like they want to hold disc golf tournament utilizing Lakeview Park and Soldier Point, McDonough Park, Riverview Park, Trinity Park, with all proceeds to benefit a charity, and insurance certificates will be required. Is there anyone here associated with that event?
That's actually me.
Oh, so what is it?
It's the Safari tournament. My law firm is sponsoring it this year. There is a charity. It's the JCEO backpack program, which sends children home on breaks with backpack for food.
Yeah.
And I think they had it 3 years ago.
Okay.
I wasn't involved with it then, although I did participate in it. Basically, they set up temporary bags. I left the thing in my car too. I could have showed you, but
That's okay.
the whole start on in McDonough Park and basically go around over towards Stafford and Owens, and then over the river, and then around the water treatment plant, and finish up in the parking lot over by the waterfront.
So there'll be kind of like makeshift disc golf, whatever they're called, the capture things for people to throw into, and like each location will be a different hole kind of thing?
Yes, absolutely, and it will be a full 18-hole course, and a tournament. It was a pretty big success 3 years ago when they had it, and I know amongst the they had around the Disc Golf Association who was also sponsoring it.
Okay.
They've gotten a lot of interest in it since the last time.
That sounds cool. Very nice. Any questions about that? No? Number 10, request for Matthew Miller, request from Community Development Director Matthew Miller for approval of economic development grants for winning applications to the Downtown Grant Program. And it looks like outline shows the committee's recommendations. And
Yeah, and I really appreciate the fact that he supplied us with the rubric, all of the applications to review so that we can be fully apprised of the means by which they made their decision.
that's great. Matthew, do you have anything to add? No? Okay, thank you for all the work, it's great. I don't have any questions. And let's see, is there any old business? Or actually, let's have the committee, I guess, Rochelle, are you comfortable moving all of the items?
Yes.
Okay, so you'll first and I'll second.
Yep.
And any old business? Or actually, I guess all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Old business. I'm trying to think about old business. I don't think there's any. Do you have any old business?
Me?
Yeah.
No, except that I just want to remind those people in attendance, and I'll say it again at the meeting, to be assembling your ideas, questions, and concerns about a potential parking plan.
Okay. So let's see, new business. Do you have any new business, Rochelle?
Nope.
So I guess, I'm trying to think. So there was a request for another local producer to have space allocated for them for sale of their produce. They're a local producer. They have the Plattsburgh Farmers and Crafters Market Group was awarded management of the market this year, and we're extremely grateful for all the work that they've done over the past years to help grow the market. And this group, I believe there's an issue with compliance as far as the Plattsburgh Farmers and Crafters group's guidelines, which makes them ineligible from selling any of their produce at the actual Plattsburgh Farmers and Crafters Market or the city pavilion. But
let me just clarify. That's because the Plattsburgh Farmers Market has a provision in the bylaws that prohibits the distribution of CFA shares in their market. That's the exact reason why they're being excluded.
okay. And it appears, Sylvia, have you received any other? Or no, I guess they would receive all the applications. There were a few other groups that had hoped to join their ranks, which from what I understand, there are no conflicts with, you know, the new additions of the few other groups that have not exhibited in the past, but that there are room for. And there's just this one group. So I'm considering just, you know, making a recommendation to allow them to sell, I guess, adjacent to the pavilion, to keep the concentration, you know, very localized, so that people aren't having to travel all over the city to access local producers' products. And that would be something that I'd even feel comfortable making a kind of, I guess, a motion under initial consideration tonight. And then even, you know, seeing if we can implement Rule 4 so that they could be granted space, you know, adjacent to the pavilion to be able to sell their produce.
Who's the local producer?
It's a fledgling crow farms, and I guess we have a mechanism in place to be able to allow for that, don't we? With
Is there a farm with produce?
okay, so because
It's up to you whether it's space you want to allow them.
okay, so it would just be then the council saying, you know, the space that we would want to give them. Okay. So I guess how do you feel about that suggestion?
Well, every year we try to accommodate. And it doesn't seem to work out.
With
The particular vendor making the request.
mm-hmm.
There was a request to do the green space across from the co-op.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whatever became of that.
I think that was like a worry about traffic on the new sod.
Yeah, I mean, Josh and I discussed
It
that.
would be.
Sylvia, that doesn't seem like a feasible space.
And they did
That's what
not-
Josh did.
Right, and they did not approach us directly. They had somebody do it on their behalf. I wasn't clear on that. No, and this is adjacent to the pavilion?
Yeah, so it'd be pretty much just right next door to the pavilion.
How do the people at the farmers market feel about that?
Well, they wouldn't be allowed to exhibit in their space.
We're already granting farmers market additional space. We asked that they make sure that there were, let's say, 4 or 5 extra spaces, and we would provide the parking spaces for that in a direct line from the farmers market. And so I believe there are 3 or 4 vendors who are going to occupy that space. Fledgling Crow apparently has made some kind of accommodation. A vehicle is a little bit different than distributing their shares in the traditional way. They're calling it a Pro card.
It's like a gift card.
Like when they discussed that method payment with the Plattsburgh Farmers Market, I believe that still did not fly with them. So here we are. We have the capability of making space for them in the parking lot. They would be separate entity to the Plattsburgh Farmers Market, but occupy a space in the parking lot if we go along with what Josh is suggesting.
Do you know how much traffic they would produce? People picking up their,
I know they have a very healthy business of, you know, this gift card type transaction. I don't know the exact numbers, but I feel like it would be, you know, at least in the dozens. And then those people would in turn also shop the vendors at the.
I'm wondering if they're coming to just grab what their membership.
Well,
gives
and
them.
it's, you know, there are no pre-prepared boxes waiting for anyone. It's set up just kind of like a farm stand, and then I guess the way that I understand it, with this gift card, they're able to redeem it for a specific amount of produce. So I don't know, how does everyone feel about allowing for that?
And would they get is it a vendor's license they would require? What would they need to? So who do they pay for that? And how do they
They
pay?
don't, because our code says that if you're selling produce, there's not a fee involved for that.
Oh, all right. There's,
Well, so then, you know, obviously there needs to be further discussion, so I won't bring it up tonight, but maybe we could think about this over the next week or so and, you know, try to figure out the best way, you know, to potentially allow for this producer to be able to operate downtown.
okay.
Does that sound
Yeah.
good?
Is anyone from Fleming Grove gonna come?
They could, if we want them to, ask them to.
I know we're kind of running into the regular time for our meeting, but I also want to broach the subject of changing our approach to doing a farmer's market. For some time, I've suggested that the city put together a board of directors made up of interested citizens and with representation. There is a grant available through county tobacco money that would allow an entity to promote local agriculture. And so I'm just going to suggest as something that Josh and I can discuss as a committee, perhaps talk to Matt Miller about what kind of that might take so that there would be different means of operation for next year.
There's also another large grant that just became available. Grant applications are due in about a month's time from the federal government, upwards of maybe $50,000 or $100,000 for this kind of thing too, and Matt's office can work with you on that. I think I forwarded to you too. Josh might have seen it also earlier as well.
Thank you.
Perfect. So I guess we'll continue the conversation, and you know, hopefully maybe we can find a decision within the next week to give them time to be able to plan for the season. So if anyone else doesn't have any new business, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you. So let's begin the work session for the Common Council tonight. I do understand there may be one issue with regard to property acquisition for which we would need an executive session to not reveal the nature of that. Would anybody be willing to entertain a motion to go into executive session? Moved by Councilor McFarland, second by Councilor Kelly. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Josh, you FaceTime me, please.
I will. Okay.
I can hear you, Brian.
I can't see you though.
Yeah, that was all the same.
They are going into executive session, Peter. Do you want to
Okay.
get on the
Will
call?
somebody,
I asked Josh or somebody to call
FaceTime
you.
me?
Yeah, I asked them to give you a call.
But what about Armstrong?
One of them will call her too. Okay. Peter, you might have to turn your video on though.
yeah, I just did.
There it is. Okay. All right. I'm going to mute you so we can't hear you.
Thank you.
Actually, hold on.
Who's around here? Honey, right? Don't be a slacker. Makes you look like you have a major ego.
I'm going to put you guys on hold.
Really is. I just can't.
They won the car the other day. I was thinking, so now you can play this.
No. No. Don't dare when you call when you're Isn't it pretty? My mom got it for me. Oh, it's so long. Yeah, that's fine. No, it looks like actually cheap. He loves her. Wears scarves.
And as I was looking at it, I would get that song and you get pointed out and looked at it. Thanks, Josh. It is. My first thought was that it just came out. Yeah, so, I mean,
Never saw this from Canada myself because I don't have any songs like that. Yeah. Didn't have anybody to listen to it.
no, she understood what she wanted to talk about her couple of women. I really was over here and, I talked to her about, told her that, she said a couple of things that she wanted to do. She wanted me to come down. I had that was there, and I found them.
This brings a lot of kids around.
Oh, you got the winner. Sweets for the sweets.
Oh, thank you.
I appreciate the support.
She's not here. It's not.
That's just ridiculous.
Oh, no, just take over in case this is.
Don't let him want that many. Now I'm being aggressive. I got 2, 3. I was 2. Huh? Such a giver. Oh! All right, I don't know what we're talking about this. I know, I'm like, all right. It's been a long week. It's been like the longest of the week.
Just trying to see if you're right here.
No. Well, Adam was home. What was it last week? He's like, I got a text from him. He texted me and he's like, yeah, that is miserable. I'm like, press it for me. And then I can hear every word you're saying. I'm like, and then I said something that it's loud so you can hear it. So you probably didn't hear it, did you? Wow. Like when I say last week, what I say, I
She likes to be in these classes, just to sit there. They're getting really comfortable and aggressive. Coming up to the house, well, came up east of where they were, watching cars, counting the cars and clear.
Say coyotes. Where you live, John?
Down in, between Keys and Marcellus.
Oh, okay.
One night a week.
Never knew that?
And in the morning, down about my this fern.
I know, yeah, percent. Right now, right? Terrible. I'm gonna put stuff in my office.
I wouldn't hear that.
Are you?
Yeah, you wanna hear us?
I was trying to watch this video and on my laptop doing something so stupid. We're monitoring another live stream. So monitoring it so she get it in something. She said, what's that? And I missed it.
Well, next big race.
I've never seen a mayor, president get up and say, the state, whatever, sucks. Yeah, but he didn't say it. Yeah. For take it. I'm giving it.
Yeah, I think he's not falling You know, Phil Ivey, the player, one of the top guys in the world, he was never played golf before, he was a couple guys, and before he was even over Putting Green, now he's $87,000.
I mean, a lot of cities are doing it because they need to understand. I'm actually my first check. The state has to that help them involved in law enforcement is involved in it. So everybody has to work together. You know, one has to do something.
I've done it for
Or we went to, what's that place called now that you used to go to tennis? Now it's.
I don't know, they don't really go
Oh, but it's in the shirt. Yeah. They did this one, you know, to buy like those single fancier beers. And I went by myself, single, yes, stout. Yeah, well, yeah, I'll pay for it. It's 2 glasses. No, it's not it's not old English or anything.
How many ounces are
Wow. I'd say something about that being recorded. Not appropriate. Yeah. All
Well, animal society. So, apparently,
that's the hardest thing.
Jonathan's convinced.
Brian responded.
It was wide left.
He was right in his soldier. Oh, I don't love it. No, he just wants to hit you.
Like, that was not
That's a good idea. Correct. That's the point. That's the plan. That's what we think. Well, it's all about I just can't help it. I just don't evil. Evil what on this one and the rest on this one. This was weird.
Yeah, I mean, It's right next to the new.
No.
Unless you park the trucks.
It's not really a district.
See what happens, Sandra.
Oh, looks like they're coming back. I wasn't part of the executive.
Okay, well, I just wanted to make sure that in case you were, that we didn't hear you.
So we're returning from executive session. We were discussing issue of land acquisition for which a public discussion would affect its value. No decisions were made. And let's please continue on with any other items on the agenda you'd like to discuss in work session before we begin the meeting in about 10 minutes.
Let's see. Did you have something, Dale?
I did. Item K, the level 4 proposal for managers. Let's see. Is this a temporary proposal? Would this be a permanent proposal?
I would imagine, as you know, the council's been working for some time on a broad and encompassing plan. I could imagine at the end of that, it may supersede this. You know, that'd be up to you all to determine. Item K only refers to any new employees hired. It doesn't affect any of the current managers already in the system.
Would this be any and all new management?
It would affect any and all new management, the way it's worded now.
Okay, including the police and fire department?
Right, and as you know, I'm hopeful to make a couple appointments for police department tonight. They are already existing managers, so it wouldn't affect them in any way.
I'm sorry.
I have one question regarding the salary approval set annually by the council. The way I'm reading this is that potentially the salary could be decreased annually. I think that there should be some language potentially to say either would remain at the previous year's salary or increase, but that it would not be able to be decreased.
Right. You just mentioned salary increases will be determined by the council in May, or suggested by the mayor, approved by the council.
Ultimately, since you're the budget authority, it is your call, and I'm certainly happy to defer.
I had another question. I got cut off. I'm sorry, you said they're already management, so the police and fire department would come under this as well. But they're already management positions.
I hope to imminently appoint a police chief and a captain. They're
Right.
already managers, so because they're already managers, they wouldn't be under this policy. They're under previous policy.
So with those promotions, if that's what they are.
Would follow exactly the policy we've used in the past. Correct.
So they would not become level 4 managers.
Correct.
And so some of the discussion we've had, we have level 1. Level 2 was always kind of, I guess, out there, verbal, and level 3. So adding this, we'd have level 4 today until other things are resolved with the committee.
Correct, and these individuals would be identical to any new manager we'd normally hire, would be hired as a level 3 unless they're under the 2016 resolution by the council with regard to police and fire. So these individuals would have all the same benefits of level 3s in general, but with the greater flexibility for salaries for new managers only.
And without longevity and sick and vacation accrual.
So then would we use the pay scale that we have now? Or would that not even?
This would replace the pay scale.
It would.
That's right, for new hires only.
So there'd be no steps, no grades, no, just, and how would that be determined?
Based on market forces, based on what we feel we need to hire, the people we need to hire. And the raises we would contemplate would be based on a combination of various factors. I would make recommendations based on annual evaluations of new managers' performance. Ultimately, you all, as part of the budget process, would be the ones that approve those or not.
And what are the other positions we're speaking? Are we speaking of other positions
Imminently
tonight?
that we're going to need to hire in the near future. A project coordinator or a budget analyst to work with the DRI, or to work with the Community Development Office.
Is that one position, project coordinator analyst, or is that two?
We would fill one of those two. We're trying to decide which one to fill. We're looking for a deputy chamberlain currently. And one more slips my mind, but we're looking for one more manager as well as senior planner. That's right.
Are those on the horizon, or?
We've been actively working on all of them for the last 2 or 3 months, but they're on hold until we resolve what their package would be.
Is that the only thing that's prevented those hirings? Is we don't know what the package will be? Did civil service have any
We've checked
delay
with
in
civil
that?
service and they're comfortable with all these. We've also already done all our due diligence in the various positions as well. So we're ready to start hiring in those positions almost immediately.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions? Any other items on the agenda you'd like to discuss?
There was just one item. The governance committee talked with Megan Ray from associated with the university, I believe, regarding the Take Back the Night march. It would be B on the agenda, 7B. I just kind of, for those of you who weren't there, I just mentioned that, the overtime cost that would be incurred to have police officers present would be something that we've had to deny groups in the past just because of our current budgetary situation, and we don't have it in the budget to be able to pay for those type of things. As much as we, understand and appreciate, the importance of the event and of the symbolism that it represents, but it was suggested that potentially maybe some funds were raised over the next few weeks to offset those costs via fundraisers to the university or a GoFundMe or some kind of opportunity for the group to be able to raise those funds that they could then be invoiced and paid those. It was suggested that potentially we table the discussion until they're able to potentially raise some of those funds or come up with a different route. And it was expressed that they wanted the vote to go forward regardless. So I know, Peter, you weren't there. Rochelle, you were there. I'm not sure if the mayor was here for that one. But I just wanted to let you know that, we tried to suggest accommodating ways to be able to give them what they wanted, but more or less said that we just don't have it in the budget to be able to incur those overtime expenses.
Okay. Thank you, Josh. Would the overtime expenses still be incurred if the event took a different route or sidewalks or?
I believe if it's used on the sidewalks, regular patrol people in that area would be able to monitor those intersections, not incurring any overtime costs.
They did not.
And they were not willing to do that?
They said that they didn't want to do that. Are you with the group? No? Okay, I didn't know, I didn't see Megan here anymore, so I just wanted, I didn't know if there was any further clarification, but, yeah, so, you know, we definitely expressed our interest in having the event take place, and if they were able to find a way to be able to offset those costs, then we'd love to be able to grant it to them, but I just said as far as I am concerned, we don't have it in the budget to be able to allow them to use the streets.
Any other questions or?
I actually have a question regarding item 7, hold on here, 7E. I don't know if there's anyone present from the co-op. I have a concern because last year we approved, and I heard from a couple of residents in that area about this. Last year we approved a similar resolution allowing the co-op to have the one parking space to establish outdoor dining, seating, and so on. And essentially, that space really went unused.
Peter,
there was someone. Yes.
I'm sorry. No, in the committee meeting prior, Dale, Councilor Dowdle, expressed a similar concern. You know, I just mentioned to him that I sat out there and ate probably a dozen times during the summer. And now, and Rochelle made a great point that the co-op's expanded kind of their grab and go type things with sandwiches. They have a salad bar now, and you know, I feel like I would anticipate it would have more use this year. And then I think Councilor Dowdle also expressed a concern from some local residents about the volume of live music when they have live music events.
Correct.
From what I remember, none of those music events went into the late hours. They all seem to be kind of late afternoon, early evening. I may not be 100% sure, but I think that it'll see more use this year, and I know that I used it last year.
One of the issues I heard regarding the music was not so much late at night, but rather on Sunday mid-mornings or morning early, not early Sunday morning, but some issues regarding Sundays.
Okay.
I don't think any other parklets has live music. Is that correct?
I'm trying to remember.
We could offer a stipulation that it not be used for that purpose.
Well, the food co-op opens on Sunday at 12. You know, if you're not out of bed by 12 on Sunday, shame on you.
Some people might work.
And it closes at 7.
Right.
It closes at 7, so it's hard to imagine.
I'm just, Mike, I'm just reiterating what was said to me by a resident that lived very close proximity.
It's hard to imagine that they would be doing anything during those hours that would disturb anyone. With the possible exception, as Dale mentioned, of a person who works at night. So I think they're fine.
Would you like to reserve any further discussion on that until the actual meeting then? Okay, let's begin the meeting of the Common Council for Thursday, April 5th. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Reed?
Present.
Councilor Armstrong?
Here.
Councilor Kelly?
Here.
Councilor Dowdle?
Here.
Councilor Hensel?
Here.
Councilor McFarland?
Present.
Councilor Kretzer?
Here.
Thank you all for coming tonight. I'm looking forward to some good items on the agenda. We're renewing our park quiz. I know that's a very important economic development tool. That's something we feel very strongly about tonight. I'm particularly excited that you're giving me hopefully some latitude in being able to take care of some of the hires that that market and allow market forces to determine what we can get some of these very talented individuals for. At the same time, hopefully allow the city to save some in the expenses in doing so. I know that this may just be an interim measure. I do encourage you all to keep doing your work on the management compensation plan. I know you've been working hard for about a year now on. There's still some work to be done, but I very much appreciate this gesture today to start moving forward a little bit in a way that won't affect any of our existing employees that and managers obviously have certain expectations that you all are currently discussing with them. So I appreciate your attention to that matter. And I think that's about it. The public should also know that you're completing your determination for one of the elements of the DRI tonight, the downtown apartments and storefronts, various grants, and the public should be looking forward to seeing those move very quickly soon too. So having said that, let's continue, please.
Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of the Common Council held on March 28, 2018 are approved and placed on file among the public records of the City Clerk's office.
Moved by Councillor Kretzler and seconded by Councillor Dowdle. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Resolved that the payrolls of the various departments of the City of Plattsburgh for the weekend ending April 4th, 2018 in the amount of $97,249.97 are authorized and allowed, and the mayor and the city clerk are hereby empowered and directed to sign warrants drawn to the city chamberlain for the payment thereof.
Moved by Councillor Kelly and seconded by Councillor Dowdle. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. This is an opportunity for our various committee chairs to offer brief reports. There's also in your packet reports from the building inspector's office. And let's begin with governance strategy and city operations. Councillor Kretzler, please.
Well, we had our committee meeting immediately preceding the council meeting. Councillor Armstrong and I worked with the department supervisors who gave their reports. We spoke about the parklets and all the applications that have come in from restaurateurs hoping to use the parklets. We spoke about Sandra Geddes being able to advertise for bid for the downtown revitalization project with the request for proposals for the marketing, branding and signage downtown. We also discussed a local disc golf association will be potentially having a disc golf tournament using some of the downtown park areas, and also for Matthew Miller to be able to begin the award process for the Downtown Improvements DRI grant. All of the 10 items on the committee agenda, which fall on the council agenda tonight, were approved and sent to the council for final decision.
Thank you. City infrastructure, Councillor Ansel.
Yes, we'll be meeting next week at 4:30 prior to our work session. A couple of items that I believe we will be discussing. We've had requests for flagpole and some lighting to be put in place, and also hopefully we'll be able to have some initial discussion on possible pavement resurfacing items for this year.
Thank you. Public Safety or Finance and Budget, Councillor Kelly.
I will use this opportunity to update the councilors and the public on the efforts of the Management Compensation Committee that consists of Dale and Peter and I. And we've had numerous meetings along the way. We've met with our legal counsel. We've come up with what we believe is a good package, but there's still work to be done. And we're trying very diligently to get through that and come up with a package that we, the committee, can agree upon. And then we will bring it to the entire council So that's the plan. And we also had a very, very good meeting with our existing managers earlier this week, and there was so much good input given. I am so grateful to all of you who could attend that meeting. And while we may not agree on all the details, the process of discussion that we had, I think, was very healthy. So thank you very much, all of you who did come to that meeting. I hope we can meet again. And some of the suggestions that were given to us were quite good. So we will take those into consideration as we continue to do our work. And I would also invite Peter and or Dale to add any additional information if you'd like.
No, I agree with you, Mike. I thought it was a very healthy discussion among all the managers who were present and in the committee. And I think, I can't speak for you or Dale, but for me personally, I think I got a great deal of information from it in a sense of what our managers are looking for. And I honestly think that they definitely have a willingness to work with us and understand our current situation.
Yes, for example, one of the pleasant surprises was that hardly anyone on the management team is opposed to simplification and going to one system ultimately that we can all live with. So that was very nice to see, and it made me just want to keep working that much harder at it to make sure we deliver a package that is satisfactory both to the taxpayers and to our managers.
Thank you. Yes, and I'm glad we did involve the managers. There was some thought they weren't going to be involved in that prior conversation, but we did. It went well. One thing I learned is what a mess it all is. Interpretation, lack of clarity, pay charts a problem, security, job security, lots of things to think about. I always try to put myself in a position to think of, but if you're not in that position yourself, you tend to come up with some. There were a lot of personal questions, a lot of generalized questions. I looked back in the day of Mr. Linney when he was the human resource person. We did a management analysis through the MMA, I believe, and I have that. And then we did a pay scale. We started that analysis with our then human resource person. I'm thinking personally that this is beyond the scope of 3 counselors to settle. I think we need to get in, either continue the pay scale program or get in somebody on a contract, a consultant, to get all this cleaned up, because it's a mess. We have people here on verbal promise. We have people here on maybe this is what you get, maybe that's what you get. Old pay scale charts were brought in. They thought they were the new ones. It's a mess. Whether 3 counselors can solve this by meeting sporadically here and there without some professional input, I don't know, but I'll be willing to work on it if I think we can do it. But I'd be more comfortable with some sort of cost analysis of bringing somebody in and get it tidied up once and for all.
Sir, question?
And obviously, you know, there's work that needs to be done still to make this work for the city and work for the supervisors that we really appreciate and respect. And I guess, you know, the time's of the essence with being able to hire people that we need to hire and to have something in place for them. And so that's what this will accomplish. And you know, I guess the only reason I'm comfortable to approve this would be in the end of the first paragraph. It says this policy may be modified or revoked at any time, which means that as best practices come into light, if we hire a consultant that helps us tighten things up, then everything would be applicable to all of our managers, past, present, future.
Yes, Josh, it feels a little uncomfortable to add a new layer of management when we're trying to simplify, but I hope it is a temporary measure, and I hope that we can continue that goal of coming up with one management compensation package going forward. So that's still the goal.
Are we on that item K now, or we're going to wait for discussion on that?
We're gonna wait.
Okay.
Anything else, Councillor Kelly?
No, sir. Thank you.
Public safety, Councillor Dowdle?
We met 2 weeks ago. We'll meet 2 weeks from tonight, and there's no updates.
MLD, Councillor McFarland? Oh, I'm sorry, Public Library, Councillor Armstrong?
No report.
And MLD, Councillor McFarland?
Yes, we haven't had any meetings to update you on, but we have had the mayor's task force on the cryptocurrency mining operations. We had 2 meetings, one on March 30th and the last one on Monday, which was April 2nd, I believe. And those were very informative. We had industry experts there. We actually, on the Monday meeting, we actually saw one of the Bitcoin machines, which was a lot louder than I thought it would be. And we had some department heads there, and it was very informative, a lot of great ideas put out there. So I am hoping that we'll start getting some traction on this, and hopefully the moratorium can be lifted before 18 months with some common sense regulations involved.
Perfect, thank you. And resolved that the reports as listed are hereby ordered, received, and any written reports are placed in file among the public records of the city clerk's office. Moved by Councillor Kelly and seconded by Councillor McFarland. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. No correspondences at this time, so continue with audited claims.
Resolved that the bills offered to the common council for the week ending April 6, 2018 in the amount of $0 are authorized and allowed, and the mayor and the city clerk are hereby authorized and directed to sign warrants drawn on the city chamberlain for the payment thereof.
Moved by Councillor Kelly and seconded by Councillor Dowdle. Discussion, if you're wondering why the number is 0, it's only because somebody's on holiday would be processing those currently. So we'll be doing some catch up very soon, obviously. Any further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. This is an opportunity for anybody in the public to please come and address the council. At this time, we ask you to devote your attention to items on the agenda tonight. There will be another public comment period at the end of the meeting as well. Seeing none, let's continue, please.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the common council approves promotions events coordinator to advertise for bids in response to the downtown revitalization project request for proposals for marketing, branding, and signage.
Moved by Councillor McFarland and seconded by Councillor Dowdle. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Councillor Armstrong?
Yes.
Councillor Kelly?
Yes.
Councillor Dowdle?
Yes.
Councillor Ensel?
Yes.
Councillor McFarland?
Yes.
Councillor Kretzer?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the common council approves Megan Ray to have a Take Back the Night event on Saturday, April 21st, 2018, from 9:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. Take Back the Night march taking place on the streets from the Angel College Center down Brinkerhoff Street to Oak Street, down Court Street, down Margaret Street, onto the sidewalk of Broad Street. Meeting back at the Angel College Center, insurance certificate will be required. This request requires $1,331.64 in overtime costs for 6 city police officers.
Moved by Councillor Kretzer and seconded by Councillor Kelly. Discussion?
So I mentioned previously that Megan Ray was here during our governance committee meeting immediately prior to the council meeting, and our hope was that she may be willing to use the sidewalks for the march, which would not incur any overtime costs at all for the city. It was also suggested that, you know, if using the streets was of utmost importance, that potentially they could find some funding from people that would be able to offset these expenses that the city could then invoice for. I obviously, you know, personally see huge value in this event, and I want it to take place. I just unfortunately can't authorize money that we don't have in the budget to spend on the police force.
I'd like to add, defending the idea of March in the streets. Ms. Ray suggested there was concern about harassment because when you're on the sidewalk, you're in close proximity to residents and there's been the past. I suggested, I think Lisa also suggested that men some volunteers do. But personally, I would just like to say that I think I could vote on this just from the standpoint of fairness. Of course, absolutely support and for this group to be able to speak out, but there are a number of really good causes that have come before the council that we've had to deny for similar reasons. And this would, making an exception in this case, I don't think would be fair.
And also, if I could just add, I suggested that we potentially table the discussion to see if potentially either through a quick GoFundMe or some kind of fundraiser on campus that they could come up with the money. We could even delay it by 2 weeks for the vote, and the police chief ensured that, with some work, that he would be able to put a force in place if it was a last-minute approval by the council to make this happen. And when I brought that to Megan, she said that she didn't want to table it, that she wouldn't be able to raise the money, and that she wanted it voted on.
If it's voted down, would you have any objection to it being brought up 2 weeks from now, see if she's wrong on that?
What do you mean?
Can we put it back on the agenda for 2 weeks from now? Is that a
I'll
possibility?
send support.
Pardon?
I believe that would be up to them.
Would it also have to go back through committee?
No.
I don't believe so, because the initial concept was already approved.
Is there a timeline on when you can come back with a?
No.
Of course, it would be a different resolution.
Right.
I think, or maybe not. Okay.
And
I think part already vetted.
Pardon?
For Maxie.
Or perhaps a different day, which would give them more time to raise the funds?
I think it's part of a worldwide event. I'm not sure if it all happens. I don't see Megan here, but I believe that she made it sound as if it's a worldwide event potentially taking place on that day.
Yeah, her report said it started in Belgium.
Right. So, I
just vote on it.
Right.
Vote on it?
Yeah. So I guess that's it.
Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Counselor Armstrong?
No.
Counselor Kelly?
No.
Counselor Dowdle?
No.
Counselor Ensel?
No.
Counselor McFarland?
No.
Counselor Kretzer?
No.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves Select's Restaurant LLC located at 103 Margaret Street to use 2 parking spaces in front of their establishment for outdoor dining.
I'd like to make a motion to waive the reading and to move resolutions C through H, all in one.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Councilor Dowdle. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay.
All in favor and one nay. Discussion on the actual resolution now?
We're dealing with just C now on that.
No, it's all one package.
The package.
Yep.
I've said many times, Mayor, that I love this time of year when I drive home on a Friday afternoon and I see every restaurant in downtown Plattsburgh practically teeming with people. People having fun and enjoying themselves. And it just paints such a wonderful picture of our city. I just love it. And I don't know who first came up with this idea, but I applaud them. It does make our city special. I can't think of too many places where you can go where you can see activity like that, at least in the North Country. So
I think that was an initiative, wasn't it, by Councilor Casper and Kretzer, if I recall correctly, as an old timer.
Could have been.
Any further discussion? Roll call for items, what, C through H?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor Enfield?
No.
What was that?
No.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Item I.
Beth, before the next ones I read, I'm going to recuse myself, yes, from items I, and also while we're on it, from items J. I'm going to recuse myself from item I because my firm is sponsoring that event, and I'm going to recuse myself from item J because I was a part of the review committee for the DGP.
You actually don't have
think
to
you can
step out.
stay.
Yeah, you can stay.
Oh.
I know it's been the practice, but as long as you don't participate in discussion or vote, you're fine.
Cool.
Resolved that in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves that the local chapter of the Professional Disc Golf Association requests to hold disc golf tournaments utilizing Lakeview Park and Soldier Point, McDonough Park, Riverview Park, Trinity Park on June 16, 2018. All proceeds benefit charity to be determined. Insurance certificate will be required.
Moved by Councilor Kretzer and second by Councilor Kelly. Discussion?
Approximately how many participants are they expecting?
It's supposed to be an 18-hole disc golf course, and I can't remember the numbers from previous years. Are you talking about from a crowd standpoint?
From a participant standpoint and possibly crowd and...
Public safety? Do you
Yes.
see any issues with that? Police and DPW don't see any issues with, I think it's happened in the past, and there have never been any issues with crowd control need.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor Insel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland recused himself. Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Approval of economic development grants for winning applicants to the downtown grant program.
I'd like to make a motion to waive the resolution and move the reading. Move the resolution and waive the resolution.
We know what-
Waive the reading and move the resolution.
There you go.
Sorry.
Moved by Councilor Kretzer, second by Councilor Dowdle. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Discussion on the item itself?
This will be the facades of the buildings, is that correct?
Yep.
Some of them are facades, some of them are interior renovations for upper floor residential units, and some are first floor commercial renovations.
Okay, good.
I think the bulk is for actual apartment approval improvements, and one of the criteria for the review committee was to ensure that new apartments are actually coming online as well, to expand the housing stock downtown, if I'm not mistaken.
Do we know how many housing units are coming out of this?
Out of
Specifically?
this particular list,
Mhm.
I would have to check. I don't have that number
Okay,
offhand.
all right. But there are some.
That.
And definitely a big thank you to Matthew for being able to see this through, and a big thank you from your predecessors from also helping to kind of get this ball rolling.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor Insel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland recused himself. Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore, the Common Council approves the following compensation and benefit policy for level 4 managers of the city of
I'd
Plattsburgh.
like to make a motion to waive the reading and move the resolution.
Moved by Councilor Kretzer and seconded by Councilor McFarland. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Discussion on the item?
I have a question.
Once again, I'd like to
There it is.
put forward a suggestion to possible minor amendment to the resolution if possible, just to include the fact that salaries would remain either status quo or increase, and that they would not be reduced annually.
Just to clarify a point, I think that
proposed amendment would be superfluous because the council already has that power. When you guys adopt the mayor's recommended budget or not, you can make amendments. You essentially control what the final number would be.
I'd just like to say that including a stipulation like that in this resolution would prevent us from actually reducing salaries should we ever need to. From a fiscal standpoint, it could happen. You know, in times of severe financial difficulty, that could be an option for us. We don't want to do that, of course, and it would never be our intent, but it could happen. And, that would mean we would have to pass a new resolution taking that away. I guess we could do that, but it doesn't really seem necessary.
Councilor Dowdle?
But I will say, if you feel that strongly that that has to be there in order for this to pass, then let's put it there.
I think it would require one word. Recommend a salary for each manager would be replaced by recommend a salary increase for each manager.
Right.
Correct, as part of the budget process.
Do the movers find that amendment acceptable?
I do.
Any further discussion? We'd have to vote on that amendment in a moment too. Councilor Dowdle?
Under wages, the mayor shall recommend a specific salary which must be confirmed by the common council. So if we were using the pay scale, we would still need to approve the pay scale that you were recommending. Is that correct?
Correct, and that's as we've always done it. For any officer of the city council has to endorse the mayor's recommendation.
Right.
So that's no change there.
All right. So is there a dollar value on this? I mean, what's the impact financially doing it this way? Is there a projected impact?
I'd say it's neutral to a slight savings. I can think of examples where we were constrained to pay a significantly higher wage than probably necessary because of the pay scale. But I can also imagine situations where this will allow us flexibility to pay and beyond what the pay scale may have suggested as well for certain very highly qualified candidates. The other advantage of having this flexibility is, as you know, with the current pay scale, some individuals are no longer eligible for raises except for longevity, which works out to be about 0.4% per year. Although they may still be performing in an exemplary manner, and we may still want to reward them with either raises or bonuses, the current system offers no such flexibility. So I wouldn't view this as a way to either save the city money or cost the city additionally. Or what I view this as a mechanism to allow the city more flexibility in attracting just the right candidates with the right level of qualifications that we need to do the business and to be able to encourage and reward exemplary behavior at the same time.
Okay, and there was mentioned during the work session about the police and fire department would come under this as well, but and there was reference to the 2016 resolution in terms of pay scale, management pay scale. So that would not change?
Correct. Only new hires would be affected. I think you're referring to two individuals that are already managers, and I'm hopeful to make a promotion to those individuals as soon as possible.
Is that resolution that was adopted on February 25th of 2016, is that working?
As in, do I have any concerns about it? Mm-hmm. Not particularly. I think it's working. I think this is the purview of the council to make that determination, but from an administrative point of view, it hasn't been problematic.
Okay. Yep.
Any further questions? Are you prepared to vote on this sole amendment so far? The amendment was to insert the word increase in the line, and annually the mayor shall recommend a salary increase for each manager for the following year in his proposed budget. All in favor?
You're gonna have a
Aye.
first, a second.
Okay, do I have a first for this amendment? Councillor Dowdle, and seconded by
Armstrong.
Councillor Armstrong.
Further discussion.
Any further discussion on the amendment?
I agree with Dean that it sounds kind of superfluous. I mean, the council would have the power if they wanted to lower them anyways by changing the resolution then, but
I think that
particularly feel strong.
resolution would be rather perfunctory task, that in terms of prices.
I'm sorry, Councilor Armstrong, I couldn't quite understand you, but I just think that wording such as that actually shows somewhat of a good faith effort on behalf of this body that shows a value to the managers, that it would take some other actions to either keep the salary level or to increase, and that I just think that it provides a more positive note.
Were my comments heard by the rest of the council?
Kind of.
I said that, if we were to enter into a crisis, I don't believe that framing a new resolution that would approve salary decreases would be that difficult. And I agree with Councillor Ensel that we want to create a sense of stability and fairness by inserting this word.
Any further discussion on the amendment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
This is the
Just the
word.
amendment.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Oops.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
I feel your pain, Patrick.
Now we can continue discussion on the amended motion, amended resolution.
I think it's pretty necessary since you're holding off on hiring people until there is something for it, and we have a number of slots that we want filled, so I think the sooner the better, honestly.
My only
Further
concern
discussion? Pardon me?
is that these hires be aware that some of the terms of the contract managers, level 3 managers, might be subject to change.
I think so.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
One thing I like about this resolution is that it takes a little pressure off the Management Compensation Committee to give us a little more time to come up with a package that's going to work for everyone. So I see it as a good thing.
Prepared to vote?
Yes.
Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
No.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
No.
Motion passes. Next item.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves two police department employees to attend the New York State Police Academy undercover operations training from April 23rd to 27th, 2018, April 30th through May 4th, 2018, in Oriskany, New York. The total cost should not exceed $2,138. As there is no cost for training and will be expensed out of the asset forfeiture fund, this training is important for the investigative operations at the Plattsburgh Police Department.
Moved by Councillor Kelly and second by Councillor Dowdle. Discussion? Roll call? Oh, I'm sorry.
How much money is in the asset forfeiture fund?
Approximately $100,000 currently, I believe. Is that correct?
I think it's closer to 163.
163. I like that.
Sounds like like an auction.
Now, as you know, the city of Plattsburgh at one time did very well with asset forfeiture, given our proximity to the border, and that has certainly the amount of crime, especially drugs that have gone through this region, has not decreased, has been increased, but the offenders have very quickly adopted in new technologies, namely Bitcoin and other ways to move money around electronically rather than through cash, and it has meant that the asset forfeiture fund has grown much less rapidly than in some past years.
And is the asset forfeiture fund, what can that be used for?
Primarily for, well, items to enhance public safety, but non-routine items. It's not designed to supplement some items that would normally belong in our budget. Is that correct? Any further discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor Insel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves zoning board member Kathleen Inslee to attend the 80th Annual New York Planning Federation Conference in Bolton Landing, New York from April 22nd through 24th, 2018 at a cost not to exceed $354. This training is part of the requirement for zoning board members and will be expensed out of our training and education budget.
Moved by Counselor Kretzer, second by Counselor Ensel. Discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor Insel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
I've actually got a couple of items here for either initial consideration or new business. I'd like to treat them as a package. First of all, I'd like to hand down the provisional promotion of Levi Ritter for the position of police chief effective April 6, 2018, pending the successful completion of the civil service examination. And I ask for your roll call. April 6, 2018.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor Insel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
I'd like to also add the mayor hands down the promotion of Lieutenant Brad Keroy for the position of police captain effective April 6th, 2018. And I ask for a roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor Insel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
I certainly expect that now, or soon to be police chief Ritter and Captain Keroy are going to be very helpful in assisting in community policing in our city and to certainly help us with combating what we know is a growing opioid problem, something I really look forward to now being able to spend an awful lot of time working with you all in these two very important concerns. You've worked as an amazing team together in the past few months. I thank you for your leadership. I apologize for the delays, but you've certainly both really shown exemplary performance already. I'm incredibly excited for working with both of you. I think we're going to find that the city is going to be very well served. You've heard me many times talk about public safety shouldn't be viewed in isolation. Just as important as the first responders from the fire department and the police and fire obviously work together as first responders very closely on a routine basis, on a daily basis. And we can't also forget that our building inspector and the code enforcement office is an important element for public safety as well. And I might even add one more dimension that we don't usually think of is the public or the city court system is also an integral part of public safety. I would like to figure out how to integrate them a little bit more. As you know, I formed a police or a public safety council. I will ask for representatives from the court system to also start attending those meetings as well. We've been in a little bit in the state of flux while we have been waiting for our leadership to emerge for the police, but I'm going to renew that effort immediately. And at the same time, I'd like to offer resolved in accordance with the request, therefore, the Common Council approves that the mayor is authorized to sign a consulting contract with Desmond Raskout for the police department effective April 6, 2018, The total cost will be $500 per month, will be paid out of the mayor's office budget, and the position will be under the mayor's office. This is the individual who's been acting as the chair of this committee for the last year or so. A couple of the councilors are on this committee, and I think that he can, in a public safety dimension, really add an awful lot to what we're trying to accomplish together and help overarch these four departments that I just spoke of. So I ask for somebody to be willing to make a first for that resolution.
We need to implement Rule 4 as well to get that.
And implement Rule 4 to consider it tonight. Councillor Kelly, and second by Councillor McFarland. Discussion, please.
Yes. The consulting contract, I'm sorry, is there a limit on the time? I know you indicated it's going to be monthly, but is it a 1 year, 2 year, month to month?
Stop at month to month.
Okay.
At any time. And to fund it, I would like to use my travel budget, my conference budget, other budgets that I haven't been asking for reimbursement for. So, because I think this is a very important coordinating opportunity for the city. So we'll be budget neutral. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Abstain.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Thank you. Is there any other items for initial consideration? New business and council reports? Seeing none, this is a second opportunity for the public to please come and address the council. This time we invite you to come address the council of any issue of mutual concern. Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councilor McFarland, second by Councilor Dowdle. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you, Mayor.
Here.